Your Excellency, good afternoon, and thank you very much for this rare occasion. I'm Frank Mutubila from a new talk radio which is being launched this month, the first talk radio, Capital FM. Your Excellency, as the longest serving media practitioner, I think I'm allowed to ask 2 questions.
Your station is new.
Your Excellency, I'll turn 15 in the media next year.
We appreciate that.
Seriously, Your Excellency, Zambia has been pursuing constitutional reforms for a long while now, and it would appear that even the current efforts through Bill number 10 will not manage to unite Zambians behind one widely accepted document. Are you considering any measures to bridge the gap between the two camps, those who support Bill 10 and those who do not? A quick second word, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, the country has not adequately benefited from the mining industries, apart from employment generation and getting dividends. Why can't the government consider a more beneficial economic method, say a reasonable percentage on production as against dividends? As a rider to that, why can't government increase its resource share in the emerald mining? And could you brief us, Your Excellency, on the current process related to KCM? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Mr. Taylor, you've allowed the veterans to do 5 questions. The veteran asked 5 long questions. I'll try as hard as I can to give you the answers that I may have now. 2 camps have emerged as a result of the constitutional reform through Bill number 10. What are these 2 camps? I know that you're talking about PF and UPND. Are they the only camps? No. Governance is about consensus and compromise. You build consensus around an issue, and once you succeed, you move forward. There are those stubborn lords who say we will not move. As far as we are concerned, we're not going to move. Those you leave behind and move on. Otherwise, even the freedom struggle in this country had its own detractors amongst indigenous people with black skin like myself. But the Garant people like Dr. Kaunda and others said, we are going this direction, and that's why we are here. So we did consult extensively through the National Dialogue Forum, and our friends on the other side chose not to participate. And if they choose not to participate in Parliament, and we have the numbers, we'll proceed. Because that is what it means to govern. And when this thing works out, everyone will claim, oh, well done, Twali Bomba. But that's the nature of human beings. They sometimes oppose because they don't like your face, sometimes because they don't think you deserve being there, all sorts of petty reasons. So Bakalamba, don't worry, we're in charge, and we're going to make sure that we bring in as many views as possible. You know that Parliament makes laws, but we went outside Parliament in a quest to bring in as many interest groups as possible, stakeholder groups as possible. But typical to our friends' character, they say, no, we're not coming. So what do you do with such people? You leave them behind and you move on. And you don't feel guilt about it. But if they choose to come along in Parliament and debate, voila, we'll hear them. We'll hear them. But we'll not gloat and say we have won, because there is no winner or loser in this game. We have managed to move the Constitution to a level where probably it will be less contentious. You benefit from the mining industries. Yes, I think we have been grappling with the best way of getting benefits from the mining industries. One of the things we have proposed is the percentage on production. Unless we have a mechanism of monitoring production, we'll be cheated just like we've been cheated before. So, for me, a question like this is one which we should interrogate in the light of what we already have in place. Is it giving us value, a return on the industry, or not? The same, we've debated the VAT and sales tax. In the same manner that we debated, we'll debate all formulas which can be brought to our table to see how we can maximize on our returns on that natural asset which is wasting, which God has given us. But you need to know that as we negotiate and talk to these mining companies, they also have got a position, and we discuss, dialogue, negotiate, and ultimately arrive at what we think will give us a win-win situation where the mines will operate sustainably, jobs will be created, taxes will be paid, corporate social responsibility activities will take place, and so on and so forth. Because we don't want to kill the chicken that is laying the golden egg. It's a very dicey situation. But all I can assure you is that we will continue exploring various formulas which may work to our advantage, but also not killing the industry. And I know that probably that's why some of these strategies have not been adopted in the past. You saw how we labored on the VAT and sales tax. It was a heated battle. Some of you were with us in the trenches as we said we want to go the sales tax way, but others were on the other side. But through dialogue, we eventually had to reverse. So it's not too late. Budgets are coming and going every year, and you are Zambian, you are at liberty to engage us to ensure that those brilliant ideas you have do not go to waste. We should tap into your knowledge. Emerald industry, for example, is one area in which we would like to have as many Zambians as possible operate, but what we have are Zambian speculators in the majority. So for us, we set up Kajem as a Zambian people. Later, obviously, our equity was diluted and would like to regain our shares in there. IDC has been looking at how we can expand our involvement in the emerald industry. And also, the Minister of Mines has been encouraging people to see how they can participate in this industry through cooperatives, and also support from banks in terms of equipment and machinery for operation. But the mines require a lot of equipment, and very few banks are willing to support indigenous Zambians in the mining sector. And that has been a problem. How many Zambians run mines of their own in the copper industry? None. Probably small-scale gold mining now, small-scale emerald now, but we would like to have a day when Zambians, men and women, own a mining house of their own. But this can only happen if the banks are willing to support them. And the banks also decide what products they would like to support. Talk about this, you can compare the Nigerian entrepreneurs. Nigerian banks have supported the local people. That's why we have the Dangotes coming as far as Zambia and other parts in the region, because they've been supported by their banks. Until our banks in Zambia, whether they're international or local, based in Zambia, begin supporting us, we'll continue being engineers in the mines, but just a worker, a director in the mine, but just a worker, and so on. That's the sad situation. I'm not going to talk more because the Minister of Commerce and Industry has been challenged with this matter, and I'm sure he's prodding banks to come to the table. KCM, oh yes, thank you, Karam. KCM is a matter we are monitoring very, very closely. It's in court, as you very well know, and I don't want to talk about court processes lest I'm cited for contempt. We will wait for the courts to determine the matter. On our part, we are keeping a very critical eye to ensure that nothing goes wrong. And if there was no law in this country, we would have finished this matter of liquidation of this company. But the law is slow, and sometimes you have to be very, very resolute when you're going to the law. Otherwise, you can be frustrated. But I must assure you, we will not be frustrated because we know what we are doing. And if the idea is to protract this matter to the furthest so that we break down and we fail to reach our ultimate resolve, we will not relent. We will wait until the court finishes the process. And again, we don't want to be seen to be fighting the court by saying the court is too slow, because courts, the wheels of justice grind very slowly, that you know. But when they grind fine. We want also to be seen to be respecters of the rule of law. You see, we're between the rock and the hard place here. If we go in there and say, get out, all the investors who have come to Zambia will be unsure of their continued safety and future. They will be saying, hey, these guys can just wake up one morning and say you're out. They will use a fake liquidation process and you're out. So we need to inspire confidence to the investors, both locally and those who come from outside, so that they appreciate that Zambia is a country of laws, and no matter how dictatorial the guy in State House is, he will not get away with breaking the law. That is where we are. Thank you very much.
That will close and wrap up the program. So please, so far so good. Do stay in your position. He's coming to your table. I'm sure that you have a brief moment with the president. With each table the president visits, there's more raindrops coming, so this must be a special day.
Morning, Mr. President.
Morning.
And welcome back from
you.
your Champions League trips.
Thank you.
And thank you for this press conference, Mr. President. But I would suggest that to complement this, maybe in future we have more one-on-one, interviews. Mr. President, there's no doubt, that you are adored abroad because of the aggressive way you are marketing, this country. But at home, even with the many successes that you have tabulated, there is growing discontent among some of the electorate and the citizens. How do you explain this? And related to that, recently you lamented that some of the ministries were underperforming. What decisive action are you taking? And being a senior journalist, a very quick one, this is important, Mr. President. Recently you advised your predecessor.
You're breaking the rules of the engagement.
As a senior citizen, and
the moderator is
since you have you have abused me, sir, and I can abuse you, sir. Yeah.
I take that one.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, recently you advised your predecessor to retire from politics. How significant is this? What would be the impact on the country's governance? And what is your reaction to those calling for a reconciliation meeting? Meanwhile, the former First family are complaining that they're being harassed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Could I suggest to my colleagues journalists, your moderator is a bit, just choose the most important question. The idea of doing this is to allow more people to come in. It's not really to restrict you, just to allow more people to come in, more diversity. Please, please, please. Every arrangement has rules. That's really what you should be doing, my friend, not me. Frank is special. He knows that he's special. He always knows. Question, Frank, you raised was about retirement. That was purely a legal issue. Purely a legal issue. I started with myself that when I've done my time, I'll retire and go and look after goats. The goats are waiting for me. They need my attention. And I love them so much. And I think they love me. Because you can see how they multiply when we give them more time and attention. On a more serious note, it's a legal issue. You cannot be in retirement and yet you're in politics. The law does not allow that. At the beginning, Frank, we talked about restoring the rule of law, isn't it? This is part of the rule of law. So who is offending who now? HH is not offending any individual targeting anybody. It is the law that is being offended. You cannot be in politics, yet you are retired and you are receiving retirement benefits, which is anchored on the law that says you must retire. I hope I'm making myself clear here. Let me extend the answer to your dry but loaded question. The law is clear. When the former president retires, they must not stay in politics, and the emoluments they get are based on the law, and they are provided for in the law. Today I see a headline in one of the newspapers to say, no, HH lied. It wasn't 13 policemen, it was 8. Okay. I asked the Secretary of the Cabinet, is he? Is there? I said, please, can you deal with that? Me, I'm given information to interpret the law. The law is clear. But in this case, if there was misinformation, it's a cabinet office. Is that my problem? It's a cabinet office. So what we've agreed with the Secretary of the Cabinet, he will clarify today that statement. What does the law say? How many policemen were there? But what I know that even 8 is offending the law. Even 4 is offending the law. Because the number is 3. So now you can see the malice in there. What's the malice that HH lied? Honestly speaking. You can see how we've reduced things. The substance of the matter is not 13 or 8. The substance of the matter is that has the law been offended? The law has been offended. It's not HH. Frank, because you are a good man. On that day, I was not around when that hullabaloo happened. And in the morning, the insults were going at HH. Insults by colleagues that have been in politics for a long time. I just smiled. Never answered. Never answered. In the afternoon, the charge was laid. A complaint from a citizen. A citizen who is infringed, the law, Bill of Rights. A citizen who is infringed in this country called Zambia, territory, has a right to complain. And their complaint must be heard. That's in the Bill of Rights. Minister, am I right? And the authorities, be it court or so, don't have a choice. The word is obligation. Am I right, Minister? I may miss the exact word, but it's obligation, Frank, to act. That's the rule of law. But why were the insults directed at HH? Am I the one who complained? Am I the one who received $400? I don't know. To do that. Inch to inch. But the insults were loaded to me, and social media was very excited. The charge was laid. It had nothing to do with any minister, the president. It had to do with the law, based on what the law says. So you can see. So, and to claim that HH is harassing a family, it's not true, Frank. You know, sometimes, citizens, we must be fair to each other. Sometimes. Sometimes we must analyze things in a fair and objective manner. Between the two of us, who harassed who? Let's be direct now. Between my colleague ECL and HH, who harassed who? Who is harassing who? Peacefully is living there. The policemen are there. When there was a robbery there, it was found out the people who robbed him were his own cadres. Who discovered that? It is the police, the very police. I was not allowed to use Chipata Airport, Frank. I even asked, I was on the runway for 3-4 hours there during campaign time, official campaign time. My colleague instructed that I must not be allowed to use airports. How do I know? The footage is there. It's there. But citizens choose to ignore all of that and start pretending that HH is harassing the former president. I have no intention to do that, Frank. I was never brought up like that. My brain doesn't work like that. Maybe what people are having difficulty is to accept that I'm not harassing anybody who harassed me. I think that's where the problem is. But get used to that my brain works differently. I should have been dead long time ago. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. It's there. Ngani kumbi ule nilishalifwa. Alifwa ule nilishalifwa ngani kumbi. Ngaka weshepo nkamukanomba takafume. Akafuira mukati. By word of mouth. So now, citizens, can we be fair with each other? If he was being harassed, would he be joking on the roads, public roads? If I joked Frank like that, I went on a road line in 2011, July 2011, I was a dead man. You all know that. But we brought the rule of law, protecting everybody. You talk of pangas. Since we took office, have you ever seen any pangas in the streets being sharpened? In the streets, kwa, kwa, kwa. Can we be fair as citizens and call things by their right names? My brother is free. If anyone is tampering with his freedom, I'm the first one to step in to protect him. I'm the first one. I will be the first one. All we're doing is to follow the law. Frank, when I leave office, I don't want the taxpayer to pay me money and I'm still in politics. I'm still running UPND. The matter is in court and the court is bringing these issues out, not me. They're arguing on their own there. So how do I become the problem now? We are the solution. Frank, let me tell you why I did what I did. And for the people of Zambia. Once we were declared winners, on the 16th, I guess I'm right, 16th of August. I think it was 16th of August. 15th or 16th of August. I knew, Frank, that if I did not provide leadership, there would be deaths and killings in the compounds and in the villages. Because the way our colleagues treated us, killing people, maiming people, Kamugodi there, bullets missing us, taking Lawrence Banda and leaving his young children and wife, taking Joseph Kaunda, taking Sama, bullets. If I did not do what I did on that day, Frank, at the community house, and said nobody will revenge, nobody will avenge, nobody will wage war against a fellow citizen, citizens will have died. And this country today would have been a different country. You wouldn't recognize it. And I knew the blood would be on my head. I would never allow that. Even against those who would have wanted me dead. I don't wish my colleague anything. Frank, I'm available to talk. Talking is the answer. I've always been available. I don't want to review many things here because I'm responsible. My colleague and I talk. Be known to you. But what is said in public is a different matter. So how do I deal with such a situation? Someone is not telling the truth there. There are crimes that were committed before, and conversations took place how to treat those issues within the law. I advise, let's treat this within the law. But citizens are not aware. But someone goes on a platform and says, there is no communication. Now, the day I reveal, if it's necessary, you'll be shocked. We must repent. Sometimes we must repent so that society becomes normal. I think the danger and the pain that is there, that there is no abnormality, there are no commanders, there are no pangas, there are no guns, that is making some people miss access to cash, illegal cash. I can tell you that I'll put my foot down. That will not be allowed. I think we may close this press conference. We have said enough.
Thank you, our colleagues in the media. I know there are still a number of hands out there. But please, I know we can go on and on.
So this is just to compare and contrast.
We have covered enough ground so far. I can assure you that if we have anything pressing, please send it over to our office. We will certainly get back to you and give you a reply or refer you to a relevant ministry. So for now, we'll stand up and sing the national anthem as we close this press conference. Thank you.